Hey, Micah.
Hi, Dad.
Micah, I've got a problem. I'm trying to summarize the whole Promise Maker, Promise Keeper series for the kids and the adults. And I remember throughout the series, you've been helping Mum help the kids and the adults remember all of God's promises. So is there a simple way that we can remember all God's 5 promises from our Promise Maker, Promise Keeper series?
Yeah?
Yeah? What are they? How could we remember that first promise? How God told Noah to build a boat, and Noah built the boat and he got all the animals through the flood, and God saved the people and Noah's family and all the animals. And then he set a rainbow in the sky to help people remember that he promised never to flood the earth again. How would we remember that?
A rainbow is a sign of God's love.
That's right! Oh my goodness, Micah, that's such a good point. A rainbow is a sign of God's love. Let's say it together. A rainbow is a sign of God's love. That's great. But what about week 2? I remember in week 2 we heard about Abraham and how God made promises to Abraham to bless him and to give him a family of his own, to give him children, and to give him a country of his own. How would we remember that? What did God promise to Abraham?
Land, family, blessing.
That's right. Land, family, and blessings. God promised Abraham land, family, and blessings. Let's say it together. Land, family, blessings. That's so easy. But now comes a hard one. I remember that God promised Moses at Mount Sinai that he would protect and love God's people if they obeyed his rules or his commandments. And I remember there were 10 commandments, and there was one about loving God, and there was one about not lying, and there was one about donkeys. How do we remember that one?
The perfect 10.
The perfect 10. I remember you had a song all about that, didn't you?
Number 1, we've just begun. Good should be first your life.
The perfect 10. Let's say it together. The perfect 10. That was such a great song. But in week 4, we talked about Jesus meeting Nicodemus, and we talked about the snakes in the wilderness, and we talked about God's love, and what was that thing Jesus said in John 3:16? How am I ever going to remember that one?
For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him will not die, but forever, ever and ever and ever and ever. Amen.
That's right. For God so loved the world. Should we say that one together? On 3, and we'll do our actions. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him will not die, but live forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. Wow. John 3:16. It's so simple.
Yeah.
But what about how God promised in week 5, he promised Jeremiah that he would give his people a new heart. How would we remember that one?
God gives us a new heart.
That's right. God gives us a new heart. God promised Jeremiah that he would write the law on the people's hearts and give them new hearts so they could obey God. Let's do that one together. God gives us a new heart. Micah, that is so helpful. Thank you for helping me remember all of God's promises from our Promise Maker, Promise Keeper series. But Micah, is there a way that we could sum up the whole series in a simple way that the adults and the kids can remember?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do we say?
God makes a promise, he keeps it.
Yeah. When God makes a promise, he keeps it. Let's say it together. When God makes a promise, he keeps it. Micah, thank you so much for summarising our Promise Maker, Promise Keeper series. I'm going to go home and I'm going to remember those 5 things by heart so I can remember God's promises and remember that God is a promise maker and a promise keeper. And remember that when God makes a promise, He keeps it! Yay! Thanks, mate!
Bye!
Bye!